So we're going to talk about economic analysis and life cycle costing. Life cycle costing is a modern and a recent methodology of having a better cost impression of a project. So let me put the in layman's language. When we say life cycle costing, we are talking about the life of a project from start to finish. From start to finish means this project is going to start from the procurement to the pre-commissioning to the mobilization to execution to decommissioning and to scrapping. So it captures everything about a project. While the economic analysis is trying to look at choices. If I have choice one, option one and option two, which option do I take? For me to determine which option to take, I need to perform some economic analysis. I need to look at what is the annual return, what is the interest rates, what is the salvage value, and so many other parameters you need to look at it. At the end of the day, when you perform this analysis, then you have in a better position to make comparison and know which project will offer you something good. So let me go to the last paragraph. What we call time value of money, that is what brought about economic analysis. Because money depreciates over time. Okay, so and money, because money is depreciating over time, then there should be an interest rate that must tag along with it. So a 1 naira today is not 1 naira tomorrow. So if you are starting a project and you are basing it on 1 naira today, if the project is to last for 5 years and probably you're not paying yearly, then you must factor in some form of discount or kind of interest rates that will make sure that that money keeps a constant value over a long period of time. Okay, so we say $1 today is worth more than $1 in the future because money has any power. In other words, if today you put $1 in the bank where it earns interest, it is worth more than $1 tomorrow. This change in value over time is called the time value of money. Some have called this the most important concept in economic analysis. And he gave an example. He said, think of a price. In 1980, a car will cost $20,000. Today, a car is costing, the same car will cost $30,000. So in 30 years, your initial 20K can only pay 2/3 of the current cost of a car. Thus, the value of dollar has fallen and time moves on. The only difference in the case of Nigeria is that the rate of fall is too much. Is unbelievable. But all over the world, money loses value over time. It depends on how frequent. Like in Germany, the interest rate in Germany is 2.5%. The interest rate in Nigeria today is revolving around 30-35%. I think the CBN NCP puts it at 28%. So what does it mean? It means that 100 naira today is automatically 128 naira next year. That's what it means. Or it is worth about 72 naira last year. That's it. Going by CBN rate or going by banking rates, it means if I'm to keep 100 naira in the bank today, by this time next year, that money can only purchase something worth 60,000 naira. That's what it means. Or I have to add another 40,000 naira to purchase the same thing, which means I'm going to purchase it by 140,000 naira by tomorrow, by next year. That's what it means, going by normal open market value. For us to go on in this course, let me define some terms. I believe I'm trying to rush up because it's difficult to cover this course in 2 hours. But because I have sent it ahead of time, I will try and quickly see how we can achieve get maximum value in today's, because from next week, we're probably entering a new course, the course module 2. So I'll still support with videos and exercises that will help us have a full grasp of what we're talking about here. The first term is what we call annual value. Annual value. We said that annual value is a series of equal cash flow. That's the key word. It's like a series and it's equal. So it says it's a series of equal cash flow, most often savings in our own application, that occur evenly spaced. When something is a series, it means it's evenly spaced. So when I say annual value does not change. If I say the annual value of my house is 5 million, it means every year I'm expecting 5 million from that house. It doesn't matter the worth of the 5 million, but it's just a constant, equal, stable, right, inflow of money. That's what we call annual value. Okay? By the way, if they didn't call it annual value, they can also call it annuity amount. What is the annuity? It's the same thing. It can also be called annual worth. So these three words can be used interchangeably, depending on where you are. If you are speaking with an economist, he probably will be using annual worth. If you are talking to an accountant, he's probably be using annuity. Oh, what's the annuity? All of them means the same thing, and that has to do with annual value of a project. It simply means the savings I get from a project or what a project gives me per year. The second term is what we call the present value. The present value simply means the value of a future amount in today's dollar. Let's say present value. Let's say I'm planning to give you 100 million next year. You say, no, Jinauchi, I need it today. So what value will I give you? Knowing fully well that we have the issue of time value of money. You get the point? So if I'm to give you 100 million next year, it probably is going to be equivalent to 80 million today. Yes, if I discount it, if it is discounted. So that is what we call our present value. So if you're telling me that the value of an investment is 100 million, I will tell you, how about if I'm to back off today, or if I'm to sell today, or as of today, what is the import of that? That is what we call present value. The third one is the opposite of present value, and that is the future value. If you have to give me 100 million today, and I decide to take it next year, how much will you be giving me next year? So it will be the same thing. Based on Nigerian context, you have to be giving me 140 million, no, 120 million, because inflation rate in Nigeria is about 20%. In quotes, paper inflation anyway. In reality, we know it's a bit higher. So if you want to give me 100 million today, and I decide not to take it today, I say I want to take it next year. Next year, I'm not supposed to collect 100 million again. I'm supposed to collect 120 million, because the inflation rate or the interest rate in Nigeria is about 20%. Let me use that. Let me be conservative. Okay, so it means the future value of 100 million naira on 21st of June 2025 is going to be 120 million naira on 21st of June 2026. That's what it means. Life cycle costing. We talked about life cycle costing. We said the sum of the present value, listen to this, present value of all cost of a system over its lifespan. That is the key thing. This thing becomes very interesting in renewable energy and energy projects. Because some of us who have installed solar, you know that after a while, you're going to change the batteries. So if somebody now comes and tell you, I'm installing a solar for you that will last you for 5 years at the cost of 5 million, that is not the total life cost. Because I know that after 3 years, depending on, unless I'm using a lithium battery, if it's a lead acid battery, I know that after 2 years, I'm going to change those batteries. So in life cycle costing, and then maybe in every 6 months, I need to call somebody to come and wash the panels because we are in arid region. Okay, so the analogy I always give people regarding this life cycle costing is somebody who goes to zone 3 to buy a laptop. Okay, if he asks me how much did you buy the laptop, I'll say I bought it 250,000 naira. I might be wrong because I took a taxi to go to that place, 10,000. After buying the laptop, when I went there to buy the laptop, somebody saw me and took me and showed me the place. And when after buying the laptop, I gave him a tip of 10,000. That becomes 20,000. After buying the laptop, I remember that the guy selling the laptop told me that I need to put antivirus. And that antivirus cost 20,000 naira. That's another 20,000, that's 40,000 naira. Then after buying it, they now told me I need to buy a mouse, 10,000. That becomes 50,000 naira. They told me, oh, this laptop doesn't come with charger. You need to buy a charger. I bought another charger, 10,000 naira. That's 60,000 naira. And then while coming back, they told me, oh, okay, you need to buy a spare battery for this laptop because you need to have power bank, blah, 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 whatever they told me. I paid another 20,000 naira. That becomes 80,000 naira. At the end of the day, you can see that. Then while coming back, I bought another taxi for 10,000. That becomes 90,000 naira. And then they told me that due to the laptop I bought, that every 1 year, listen to this, every 1 year I need to pay some unlocking fee, whatever, that will cost me another 10,000. So at the end of the day, I have added 100,000 naira on the 250,000. So it would be wrong and indigenous of me to come and say I bought the laptop for 250,000. It's not 250, it is 350. So that is what life cycle cost means. You have to capture every associated cost, maintenance cost, whatever you call it, that has to come up within the lifespan of that project. Then there's another one, number 5, and this is a big one. Net present value. Net present value is the difference between the present value of an investment, future cash flow, and the initial investment. If the net present value is 0, the project will equate to investment. The project will equate to investing the same amount of dollar at the desired rate, also called net present worth. So it's either you call it net present value or you call it net present worth. Gentlemen, what is this? What do you mean by this? If you are embarking on a project and you have to spend a certain amount of money, called A naira, and when you do the business and you got B naira, the net present value will now be B minus A. So if I bought down my laptop 350,000 and I used it to start a business, and the business was able to yield 450,000 naira, it means my net present value is 450 minus 350. Okay. However, it might have to be discounted, but we'll still come to that. The next item is what we call internal rate of return. The internal rate of return is simply an interest rate. It can be called different names. Internal rate of return is the discount rate at which the present value of the project equals the present value of the project investment. So internal rate of return is that interest rate where the NPV is 0. Now, why internal rate? Internal rate is that this is the rate at which I'm not making profit, I'm not making loss. And that is the point where the NPV is 0. Remember, in the analogy I gave, if I bought a laptop for 250 and I made business, I got 450, then it simply means 350, 450. So it simply means my net present value is 100 naira, and it is positive. So it means a good business because B minus A, which is 450 minus 350, is 100. So it means it's a positive NPV. So positive NPV means good business. Okay? But if I bought a laptop for 350 and I did business and I only got 250, it means the NPV is now 250 minus 350 and it's minus 100. So that is what? A negative NPV. It means bad business. But if I made 350 and I bought it 350, it means the NPV is 350 minus 350, which is 0. That becomes a break-even point. That means I'm just wasting my time. The interest rate at that point is called what we call internal rate of return. That is the interest rate where I'm neither making profits, I'm not making profit, I'm not making loss. What that rate does is that rate is a decider for you. It's like a benchmark for you. It's the baseline. That rate now tells you, as you got that rate at say that rate maybe 15%. What it means is that if I go to borrow bank money tomorrow and they are giving me interest rate higher than that rate, it means I should run. Because any interest rate above that rate tends to negative, which is loss. But if the rate is lower, that means I'm sure I'll make positive. It's like me making 15% and bank giving me interest rate at 10%. I'm good to go. But bank is giving me interest money at 20% and I'm making 15% profit. I'm already a failure even before I start. Then interest rates. Of course, all of us know interest rates. But let me just say that interest rates they can use different terms. You know, one of the things you are doing in this course, even though I know some of us will not go that route, we are also indirectly preparing you to take the exam. If tomorrow you decide to become a certified energy expert, certified energy auditor, or a certified energy manager, these are part of global certification. Okay, I have one, Junior Chima has one also. And it is even on the basis of that that gives us the confidence to be able to share our knowledge with you too, because we are certified also. So I don't rule out that tomorrow some of us who have the time, okay, and who have the vision might decide to go to become certified. Because I know that in the Western world, these certifications are in hot demand. I can tell you anything has to do with energy auditing or energy management. Okay. Interest rates. Interest rates can be called borrowing money. It can be called finance rates. Okay? It can be called discount rates. So whichever word it means, it simply means the interest rate of investing money. It shows how money will grow over time. If I say the interest rate is 20%, what it simply means that every year the money will grow by 20%. I mean, this is common knowledge. But it's good, but it's a very serious thing. Then we have what we call the MA. The MA is just like the IRR, minimum acceptable rate of return. He said it is the rate determined by a company or organization to be the minimum required for investment in projects. Let me expatiate on this because I know the contractor too. And I also like to use Julius Berger as an example. Now, what this interest rate means is that as a company, I borrowed money from the bank at 15%. I now have a building, I have staff to pay. When I calculate the cost of renewal of my building, how much I pay my staff, by the time I calculate it, and now add it to the 15%, maybe I'll come to 20%. It means that 20% is the minimum acceptable interest rate of any job I will ever take. It means if you give me a contract and I did not see 30, anything higher than 20%, I will reject it. That's what it means. That's why when CPM gave banks interest rate at 28%, if you go to bank, they will be giving you at 35, 38, 40%. By the way, that's why people don't go to bank again. The reason is that if CPM gives them at 28% and they give you at 28%, gentlemen, they're not making profit now. Okay, so they will put their own markup. So that markup plus the default is what we call MA, minimum acceptable rate of return. Why I use Julius Berger, for example, is that from day one, I've always been told that if Julius Berger does not see 50-60% profit in any job, they will not go. Our Nigerian companies, you and I, when we see 30%, maximum 40%, we are good to go. In fact, some people, when they see 20%, they're good to go. But that's very dangerous. And that's why some people fall into trap. Because by the time you see 20% and you go for it, and you're lucky that you're going to borrow money, gentlemen, I wonder how you're going to make profits. Because it means that the 100 million naira contract, you're expecting to receive 120 million. And then you go to bank to borrow money, and they're giving you interest rates at 20% too. So it means at the end of your project, you are paying bank 120 million. Government is paying you 120 million. Man, it means you didn't make anything. But when you have your MA as a standard, okay, then you are good to go. The next one is depreciation. He said amount of economic value that is used up during the accounting period. Depreciation is not a cash flow, it is for accounting purpose. There's not much to say here, but assets depreciate over time. So when you are buying the assets, always remember that the salvage value will be almost nothing, especially for some of the projects we'll be examining in this course. Okay, once a battery is dead, it's dead. Once your solar reaches 15, 20 years, it's gone. No salvage value. In fact, you might have what we call negative salvage value. Negative salvage value means where you have to even pay to dispose of it. Yes, not every asset you can salvage. Some are negative. Things like nuclear residue, nuclear waste. Nuclear waste, where to dump it is a problem. Sometimes you need to go and pay some poor African country in the Sahara and dump it there. Okay, now we have what we call payback period. They say it's simply the number of years needed to cover an investment. This is a very key one. In payback period, we have two types. We have the simple one. Simple one simply means I bought a car for 5 million, and the car will be giving me 1 million every year. What is the payback period? It is simply 5 divided by 1. So that's 5 years. That means in 5 years I'll pay off. You get the point? So it's simply P over A, which is the annual amount I'm getting from the car is 1 million. And the present value of the car, or what I bought, or the initial investment of the car is 5 million. So that one is straight line. But we also have the discounted payback period. The discounted payback period is calculated after discounting the net cash flow using a minimum attractive rate of return. This is what it means. I bought a car for 5 million. And I say every year to give me 5 million, to give me 1 million, 1 million. So in 5 years, it is not really true. Because next year, the 1 million I'm getting is not 1 million the previous year. And 1 million in 5 years might be probably be 20 naira, 20, maybe 200,000 today. So I need to discount them. So instead of expecting 1 million next year, I should be expecting maybe 1.1 or 1.2 million. Okay. Then the next year, I'll probably be expecting 1.4. Get the point? Then the following year, I should be expecting maybe 1.5 or so. So the money must move along with those interest rates. It must be the key word is that the money must be discounted. That's the technical word. Okay. One of the things about this training too is that after a while, as a financial expert, you should be able to use those terms, those terminologies, and be able to.
Is it possible for you to help me increase the volume?
It's from your own side. So meanwhile too, I know Chimas must have told us this thing. While we are doing this economic analysis, is sometimes your client is interested in the numbers. Your client is interested in, if I change my AC to energy saver, I change my fridge to energy saver, how much am I saving every month? That is the interest of your client. All these things, they are not interested. What they are interested in is, if I invest 2 million naira in changing my energy bulbs, changing my appliances, okay, how much will my AEDC be? We are in Abuja, we call it AEDC. Those of you in Lagos, I think it's how much bill, how drop is my bill going to drop? Because that is what we justify, we give you the payback period. And that is what the clients want to know. That is why this course is key. I should take it seriously. The number ninth term is what we call the salvage value. I've already explained the salvage value. It's the value of equipment at the end of the project life. Sometimes salvage value is positive. It means you can sell it and make money. And sometimes it is negative. It means you pay to dispose of it. However, in most of our calculation, we'll be ignoring salvage value. We're assuming that project, the salvage value is not worth it. It means after the end of the project is decommissioned and everybody goes home. The next one is what we call the lifespan of a project. What is a project? A project is anything that has a beginning and an end. I know you must have heard it from the layman's language. When we say a project, Something is not a project until it has a beginning and it has an end. In other words, something is not a project until it has a lifespan. Okay? A building project. If you must call that building a project, then you must know when you're starting, you must know when you are ending. That's the only way you can call it a project. So this lifespan of a project is very, very important because we don't expect projects to last forever, unlike in Nigeria, right? Where sometimes a project will last so long that when you start to evaluate it, you just discover that it's better you just forget about it. So in our economic analysis, there are some terms we'll be encountering, and there are some terms I would like us to familiarize ourselves with. So you need to pay attention here. For every economic problem or challenge, there are 5 key items. It's either you're looking for them or they're looking for you. It's either they're missing or they are given. The first one is called the present worth. We must know the present worth of a project or we find it. The second one is called the future worth. We must know the future worth or we'll find it. Then the other one is annuity. What is the annual value of the project? Okay, if I invest 5 million naira for 5 years, it simply means 1 million naira every year. That's what it simply means. Okay. Then if I'm making 10 million, it means I'm making profit of 1 million every year too. The fourth one is the number of interest period or the lifespan. That means the lifespan, or it also can be seen as the interest period. When I take loan from a bank, I would say I'm taking it for 2 years, I'm taking it for 3 years. So that 2-3 years is still the lifespan of the project. If I take 4 months loan, quarterly loan, it means the project will end in 4 months, no, in 3 months' time. So it means the end here is 3, but on a monthly time scale. The last one is what we call the interest rate per interest period. Interest rate per interest period. Interest rate per interest period. So here, the interest rate must be there. The interest rate is always a constant indicator because without interest rates, we're not doing anything. You can also extract the interest rates from the inflation rate because most times interest rates must be higher than inflation rates. Okay, so he said most commonly generated economic problems involves the use of N and I, and at least 2 of the remaining 3 terms. In other words, the last part of a project and the interest rate of a project will always be given to you. Gentlemen, interest rate is not something hidden. If I call any bank now, in fact, I don't need to call any bank. I can tell you that all banks in Nigeria are giving interest rates at 35%. Probably except insider trading. I mean, you know what I mean by insider trading. Board members can get the interest rates at 28%, but it cannot be below 28% because CBN is giving to banks at 28%. So banks will not build in their own profits and overhead. Then, like you said, once you use the word project, then the lifespan comes in. So it means those 2 things can always be present. Then the answer will be find any of the other 3, but 1 must be given. Okay, so out of the present worth, future worth, and the annuity, 1 of the values will be given. Is either you're giving the present worth, as to find the future worth, or you're giving the future worth and as to find the present worth. Okay, so when we say cash flow, net cash flow is simply receipts minus disbursements. So all the things I receive, all the profit I made, minus the disbursements I made, which is like investment rate, that gives you the net cash flow. Okay. So this is a typical of a cash flow. So if you look at it very well, you see that at year zero, there's initial investment P, and at N is like the end of the project. Okay. The second diagram shows you the annual amount. So you will see short arrows. Okay. It means this project is now divided into 4 different years until the end of the project. For the future amount, it simply means moving from the future to the end of the project. The future cash flow. Okay, so I think I'll demonstrate this better with this. Now, this is, it's a, what is the present value of 10,000 to be received 5 years in the future? This shows I want to receive 10,000 naira in 5 years' time. How much should I invest today? Or how much should my business be giving me? So that in 5 years' time, this business will be worth 10,000. And that amount is 6,209 naira if the discount rate is 10%. So it means if my business that is worth 6,000 is growing at the rate of 10%, it means in 5 years' time, I'm going to have 10%. In other words, again, if I'm expecting to have $10,000 in my bank account, I should look for a bank that will give me interest of 10%, and the amount of money I have to deposit will be $6,000. There are so many ways to look at this. It also shows you that if a project is going to worth 10,000 naira in the future, if somebody demands that I give him the money today, it means if he's going to be paying me interest, it means I should give him sister. Or let's put it this way: if the amount, if somebody says, should I give you 10,000 in 5 years, or how much should I give you today? It means you can give me sister. I mean, there are different ways to look at these things. But when we start to do the calculations, one will understand it better. Now, this is the hard part. So I don't know how many of us that went through all this. It's very, very hard, I know. But the good news is that you don't need to cram all these things, number one. Number two is that in the new world, in the world of today, nobody's doing closed book exam again, even if you're going for exam. Those of us who are we're all engineers, we know about design. Unlike how they did us in university. These days, if I'm designing something, I'm reading something, Google is in from my front, my materials in my front, calculation sheet from Yenuga or from this person or from that person, or from teacher's law or waiting, they're all with me. So all these things are not longer applicable. They have been simplified. For instance, there's what we call interest table. Interest table, once you want to know the interest rates at any percentage, just go to your interest table. I think I shared with us. Interest table have made everything very simple and serious. But notwithstanding, it's good for us to just have an idea of what it is while I explain. Here, this formula simply means if I'm looking for the future value, I will have to multiply the value of the interest table by the present value. So there's a direct correlation between future value and present value. Okay, there's a direct correlation between the future value and the present value. So if you multiply a factor, if you multiply the present value by a factor, you get the future value. Conversely, if you multiply the future value by another factor, it will give you the present value. So these two are interchangeable. Let me give an instance, gentlemen. If the interest rate of GT Bank is 20%, it simply means the multiplying factor is 0.2. 1.2, sorry. So it means any value, any amount of money I borrow from GT Bank, I will just multiply by 1.2. So assuming I borrowed 100 million naira, by next year, I'm paying them 100 million times 1.2. That's what it means. If you flip it, it also means if I'm expecting 1.2 billion from GT Bank and they promise to give me 20%, which is impossible anyway, it means all I need to do is to go and deposit 100 million in their bank. So that by next year, they will hand me over 120 million. I guess this is very, very self-explanatory. It simply means the opposite of the other one. Then we will go into what we call, okay, what we just did now is what we call single payment present what? Single payment means, gentlemen, I borrow you 100 million at 20% in 1 year, in 2 years, in 5 years, depending on the time period. At the end of the day, what you just need to do is to multiply 1.2 or 1.2, which is 20%, by the amount you borrowed. In this case, 100 million. So that would be 120 million. But there are instances where I borrowed you 100 million and yearly it is 20%. And you're expected to pay me back in 5 years. And you'll be paying me back yearly. That becomes what we call uniform payment. That is no longer a single one-off payment. It becomes uniform series. And what it means by that uniform series is that at the end of 1 year, the initial principal is no longer 100 million. It becomes 120 million. So your new interest rate will now be 20% of 120 million. Then, or in the first year, you pay me back 20 million. It means the new principal is now 80 million. So the new interest rate will now be calculated based on 80 million. Do you understand it? Any question? Any question? No question. So when you talk about uniform payments, it is different from what do you call it? Okay, let me, gentlemen, just give me 2 minutes. Let me ask people. Okay, gentlemen, sorry. So I don't know why people keep adding as Fabian. I don't know. Well, let's just continue. It has happened before. Okay, so in this series payment now, like I explained, it is no longer a straightforward thing. It's now there's more calculation because now the person is paying back yearly. So it means the principal is reducing. So same thing, the interest rate is reducing until it goes to zero. So that's what we call series payment. The next one is what we call capital recovery. Capital recovery is I bought something for 5 million. How much will I be paying back every year? So that by 5 years' time, by 2 years' time, by 3 years' time, I would have recovered the capital or I would have paid back. So all these are called series payments. So I will teach us a table where we'll be able to differentiate all these very well. So you know the difference between capital recovery and sinking fund. Sinking fund is like the opposite of capital recovery. Sinking fund is like, oh, I want to train my child in school, in the US school, where school fees is $75,000. and I want to put the money in the bank so that in 5 years' time, I'll be able to have $75,000 to pay. So it means I'll be sinking money. I'll be sinking money with a target. So in this case, A says, what amount can I keep so that I will be able to achieve a certain future amount? It will confuse. I know this is confusing to some of us. Yeah, especially those who didn't go through it. But I will explain in one single table. And this is the table. This table shows, let me activate somebody. This table here simply shows that if you are to find the future amount, and we are giving P, I'm starting with the first one. Now this is the formula. In terms of the mathematical expression, this is what it is. But ignore this mathematical expression, please. At our age, we shouldn't be talking about mathematics again. Everything in parentheses is what we call table factor. You can get it from interest table. So all you need to do now, if you are to find the future value of a project, you multiply the present value by the appropriate table factor. And this table factor will take into account the interest rate and the number of years. I will demonstrate one now. I don't know if you understand it. So with the interest rate and the number of years of a project, I can be able to get a table factor. And I will multiply that table factor with what it was given. You can see this thing is not hard. All you need to do is for somebody to explain it to you. In capital recovery factor, it means I'm trying to find the annuity. What amount can I be paying Coscaris Motors so that I can pay for my BMW in 5 years? So if you come to sinking fund is just like capital recovery. How much? I'm trying to find the annuity, but in this case, I'm giving the future amount. So I have a target to meet a future amount. What is the present value I'll be putting aside every year so that I want to build a house of 100 million? How much would I be putting aside so that in 5 years' time, I'll be able to build that house? So it means I have a future target, which is 100 million. But I don't know how much I'll be putting aside. So with this formula, I will get the amount. If I get this amount, it will tell me how much I'll be putting aside in equal years. Of course, somebody will say, if it's in 5 years, that will be 20 million. It's not true. It's not going to be 20 million, gentlemen. Why? Because in 5 years' time, that 100 million you're looking for is 200 million based on Nigerian situation. It's not even more than that. So by the time I do this calculation, it will tell me whether I'll be putting down 30 million. But the layman will say, 30 million in 5 years is 150 million now, but you said 100 million. No. Time value of money. Money loses time, loses value over time. So I want us to take, this is 11 o'clock. I would like to give like 5 minutes break, but you are not going to any break anyway. I want you to look at this table and internalize it. Here you have to find this, and you are given this, and it becomes the formula. Everything inside these brackets simply means table factor. If you look at this one, you see that it's telling you the two values is A and P. So if you go to the table, you'll be looking for where you have A over P. And that brings me to the interest table before we go for that break. Did I post the interest table? Did I? Yes, I did. Open your interest table. It's in the group. Interest table can be downloaded online, please. It's an open document. Let me just open one of the percentage. Let's say we are working with 10%. Yes, this is 10%. So you can see, look at here, A over P. And other place you see P over A. So this 4 means series payments. These 2 are single payment. Like the one I talked about, and if the interest rate is 10%, it means every year I'll just multiply by 1.1. Then if I'm doing the opposite, I'll multiply by 0.9. We're all engineers, we understand what I'm talking about. If you divide by multiply by 1.1 and divide it by 0.9 is the same thing, gentlemen. It's the same thing. So, but that is for single payment. For uniform payment, there will be about 4 of them. For now, I want you to ignore the arithmetic gradient. Ignore it for now. So I want everybody to bring out their interest table and master it. Okay? I'll be back in 5 minutes. Any question, please, when I come back. So 5 minutes break so that you can go ease yourself, cool your brain, drink water, find something and do. But please, for some of us who are yet to master this table, please master it and then master this table. When I come back, I would like to have questions so that I'll be impressed that you are really getting it. So see you in 5 minutes, sorry. Thank you. So let me go back to the question again. A new lighting system will last 6 years and save 5,000 per year. The company purchasing it requires a hurdle rate of 50%. In order to meet the company's financial requirements, how much can they pay for the lighting system? How much can they pay for the lighting system? In other words, how much should they invest? That means that's
Engineer,
yes?
sorry. Just I just want to make a comment here. Just to buttress the importance of this economic analysis. When you conduct an energy audit and whatever energy efficiency measures you're recommending, you have to also do this economic analysis before and it has to be integral part of your energy audit, and that's why this is very important. And it's good that we all understand this. Whatever measures you're recommending, whether you want to recommend retrofit of light bulbs, air conditioning system, change of boilers, upgrade, or whatever it is you're recommending, whether it's industry or commercial or home energy audit, you have to do this economic analysis before and make it an integral part of your energy audit so that it makes sense to your client. And I just wanted to add this so that we can all understand the importance of this economic analysis. We've done all the technical part of it. I've taken us through the technical part of it. Now, this is the financial. And these two put together makes a complete energy audit report. Thank you, Engineer. Continue.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Chima, for buttressing that point. Okay, so gentlemen, a new lighting system will last 6 years. It means the project lifespan is 6. N is 6, so you put down N as 6. And it will save 5,000 per year. Seeing that it will save and then seeing that per year gives you, that's about annuity. That's about annual saving, annual what, annual value, annual savings. Okay. Then the next thing says Hurdle rates, that's just to confuse you, is just simply means interest rate. In other words, hurdle rate means whatever the company is making, they must take care of 15%. Cost of borrowing, cost of capital. That's what that 15% means, which is a very key thing now for project managers. You must factor in cost of capital. If not, you fail. Then, in order to meet the company's financial requirements, okay, what are the financial requirements? It simply means profits, hurdle rates, and everything. How much are they going to pay? In other words, what is the present? What should be the present investment cost? What should be the minimum or the benchmark for the investment cost? It's a very simple question, though, with interest table. So it simply means
I think Ingenuity is having some technical glitches, and I hope he will join us again shortly. And once he comes back, I mean, he will continue from the point where he got disconnected.
Engineer Chima.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in the meantime, while we wait for him, you were talking of this economic analysis being relevant to energy audits. What if it is just energy assessment that the client asked for? Do you still need to go through this mathematics?
So if you look through the energy audit video that was shared, unfortunately we didn't have time to go through that session, but it was I think the recording was shared and the document was shared. You will see different levels of energy audit. There's a walkthrough energy audit. That's level 1, level 2, and level 3 energy audit. If you've gone through that video session and the documentation, there are 3 levels of energy audit.
Yes,
so for the first level of energy audit, which is the walkthrough energy audit, yes, you don't need to go all through this all this economic analysis. But however, the purpose of that walkthrough is to help you understand area of focus and just simple measures that could be implemented that are obvious, that might not need all this financial assessment. However, if you need to do level 2 energy audit, you still do the financial assessment for level 2. Then the difference between level 2 and level 3 energy audit, that level 3 energy audit is an investment grade. So if you're doing a level 3 energy audit, your financial assessment has to be on point. It's an investment grade, right? However, level 2, you also do the financial assessment. The level of accuracy may not be very high, right? But you still need to do it just to help the client, make decisions. If the client now decided to narrow down on a particular equipment or a particular solution, you can now say, okay, you can isolate that solution and then run a level 3 investment grade audit on that very one. Okay. I don't know if that's clear.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Is there any other further question? While we wait for Engineer Uche, if there are any other question, whether it's related to the economic and assessment that you're doing, or what we have done in the past, if there are documents you've gone through in the past and there are areas that you seem not to be clear about and you have the questions written down, you can bring that up. Okay, I think Engineer Uche is back.
Internet issue, network issue.
Okay.
Hello.
You're welcome back. Yes.
Sorry, I'm back. Let me. Okay. I'm sorry about that, please. So interest table says 3.786, right? What's the value? $18,930. So it means that the company should not buy this equipment for more than $18,000. It means if they buy this equipment, so if the person selling the equipment says it goes for 10,000, they can buy. 12,000, they can buy. But once it's more than 18,000, a company should not buy. Because if you buy, it means you are running at a loss. Are we okay on this?
Yes.
We should be. So have you seen how you're able to get, sometimes if you just hear that you're making, I'll be making 5,000 every year. That's good. No. As somebody have gone through this course, you should be able to sit down and do the economic analysis and say, but you know where people fail in projects is people don't consider the cost of capital. These days in my project, I consider it. I consider interest rate. Because after doing government work, sometimes the money doesn't come as expected. So you start running around. So, but if you are with knowledge of economic analysis, you have to ask yourself, I am going to borrow money. I'm going to pay interest rates. Therefore, I shouldn't assume government will just pay me a job of 100 million, they'll pay me 150 million. No. Probably I'm going to borrow money at 30%. So what is in for me is 20 million. And by the time you put in logistics, you put in overhead, you put in staff salary, you might not make it. Okay. Okay, so let's go to another question before we buttress all this. So this is the way I solved it, just the same way. Okay, look at question number 3. A boiler economizer will cost 20,000. What is that 20,000? Is it future? There are 3 parameters, P, F, or A. Is it present value? Is it future value? Is it annuity? Can somebody answer the question? This is mathematics. We have to be interactive. A boiler economizer will cost $20,000. That 20,000 means the present value. And it will last for 5 years. He said, how much would the economizer have to save each year to return 12%? That 12% is like minimum attractive rate of return. Probably the interest rate there might be like, say, interest rate from bank might say 8%. So they have put their own markup. But for the purpose of the calculation, the interest rate is just 12%. So we are giving N, we are giving I, and we are giving what? P. And we are asked to find A.
I don't know. I think Engineer Uche is off again, but just to also add to what the example that is being solved now, I hope we all remember what economizer is. I mean, we discussed it when we did industrial energy efficiency in industrial facilities. Is a retrofit that you can recommend for boilers as a way of waste heat recovery. So the economizer uses water to recover the waste heat from the flue gas. Just so we can also refresh our memory on what an economizer is. Engineer Uche is back.
Okay.
Engineer Uche, over to you.
We are giving P as 20,000. And F, it doesn't come. Let me know, no need to include it. And A is what we are looking for. N is what? 5 years. And I is what? 12%. So everybody go to 12% interest table. Go to 12%. Goes to 12%. So now we're looking for A. So A will be what? Multiply P by table factor of where A over P is 12% and N is 5 years. So A is equal to 20,000 multiplied by, let's go to our P, 12%. Okay, so we are looking for A, given P. That is capital recovery. Capital recovery. The company has spent the 20,000 and they were told that the project will last for 5 years. So now, how much would they be making to recover the capital of 20,000? That's what it means. How much would they be making? How much are they supposed to be making? So that in 5 years, they will be debt-free. So in MBA courses, they call it capital recovery. So here now, we go to this table, capital recovery. Under 5 years, it's giving us 0.2774. 0.2774. Are we together? 0.2774 is the capital recovery factor for 20,000 in 5 years at interest of 12%. 277. 0.2774 multiply by 20,000. And that gives you what? 554. What this means is that for the company to make money, after doing your audit as an energy auditor, you must prove that they can save $5,500 if they are to invest $20,000 on this economizer, boiler economizer. You must prove to them that their energy consumption will lead to a savings of 5,500. In other words, if the boiler used to consume 3 kilowatts of energy, or 30 kilowatts of energy every day, by the time you put this economizer, which Engineer Chima have explained what it means, you can calculate too. It's like this thing you see at the back of your fridge. It looks like that. It captures the heat and returns the heat. So instead of fresh water at room temperature coming into the boiler, it will like return the heat. And then by so doing, the heating coil or whatever will be taking less energy. Okay, this can also be in form of AC. So in other words, at the end of the day, if instead of consuming 30 kilowatts of energy every day, the boiler will now be consuming 20 kilowatts. And by the time you multiply the savings of 10 kilowatts by say 50 naira per hour, it will give you 5,000 something. That's just simply what it means. So what we are doing here after this today, you know, training is like introducing you to what you should know. That's how I learned many years ago when I went to do small masters in Germany. And on the last day, the lecturer came and said, "We have not taught you anything, but we have shown you what you should know." And gentlemen engineers, that's what it means. In this training, it's not like you leave this training and you become a cost expert. No. But I have shared the material with you. I've explained to you the basic concept. It's not left for you what you make out of it. If you decide after this training, you spend the next 1 hour to go through what you have learned, better and good. But if you decide to say, okay, I don't need it, good and fine. But I know every one of us will need it because With this, as an energy auditor, your job is the numbers. The client will ask you, what are the numbers? You ask me to change my AC, change my fridge. The total cost is $20,000. What am I saying? Instead of consuming 100 units per month, how many units now am I consuming? So from the less units you calculated, you multiply by the prevailing rate of energy, and you give him the service. Then you do the cost-benefit analysis, you do the payback period, and do the MPV, which you are coming to, and prove to him that, look, this 10 million you're investing, in the next 2, 3, 4 years, you're going to be saving, you're going to recoup your money, and you're going to save extra 3 million. That is the only way he will buy into your proposal. And that is the only way he will be assured that you have done a good job. At the end of the day, you have to make it point blank, okay, that this investment is worth it. If there's no question, we'll move to the third question. For the third question, a company has asked you to look at 2 projects. This is now a choice. Each project will last 8 years. The first project will cost $125,000. And the second, and we save $33,000 each year. The second project will cost $153,000. And we save $46,000 each year. The interest rate is 12%. Don't mind the grammar. Which project will you recommend? Is there anyone in this group that can tell me which of the projects you recommend by merely looking at the question? Can somebody say something?
Mba. Yeah? No way.
Thank you, sir. And that is the essence of the whole thing. No matter how you think smart, this one is even simple because of there are very complicated ones that, except you perform an economic analysis, you will never know which one is cheaper and which one is better. And that one makes you a cost expert, it makes you an energy expert. Okay? Somebody is talking about buying a, what do you call it? A smart TV for 200,000, for 125,000. And because it's a smart TV and you're using it with the internet, you won't be paying DSTV of 33,000. Somebody say, oh, there's one modem from Airtel, there's one TV from Samsung. Unfortunately, it will cost 153,000 naira. But this time around, because of some blah 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 in it, it will be saving 46,000. A layman will say, I'll buy the one for 125. Another person will say, this one is saving more money. I'll go for that one. And there will be confusion. But if you do economic analysis, so there are many ways to do this economic analysis. But what you need to do is to establish a reference point. Like the first one, you take the first one. The project will cost 125, and it will save 33,000. Now, you ask yourself, what will be the future worth in 8 years? What will be the future worth in 8 years? That's another way to do it. Another way to do it is to say, okay, this is going to save me 33,000 every year. This 125, let me break it down into 8 years and know how much it worth in terms of cost per year. In other words, I'm going to do the MPV of each project. I'm going to know the net present worth. Net present worth. So that becomes, we are using the net present worth method. There are other methods to use, which will come to us. That's method number 1. I can also say this project, okay, let me finish with that one. Let me not confuse us. So in other words, this 125,000, what does it translate in terms of cost? Since I know it is saving me 33,000 every year, what is the cost each year? Finish. So by the time I do 33,000 minus that cost, I will know what is left. I will do it for the second one, and I will know what is left. The one that has bigger left for me is a better project. That's another way to work at it. Then when we finish that one, I'll give another formula, another way to also work on that one. So here, I will say project one. So let's take project one and solve it. Under project one, what are we giving? Project one, we are giving the P as 125. And we are giving the A. Let's list everything we are giving. 33,000. And we are giving the N. How many years? 8 years. And we are giving the I as 12%. You'll be wondering, what are we looking for? But here's the game, sir. MPV. The formula for MPV, which I want everybody to know, is MPV savings minus MPV cost. So I will find the MPV of savings, subtract it from the MPV of cost. So in other words, if I'm to do the MPV here, I will assume that 33 in this case is not given. I'm coming. Don't be confused. So I'm looking for what is the value of this? Because on the flip side of it, so here we say MPV cost. And then later, still on project one, we say MPV savings. Under MPV savings, listen, the P was not given. The A was given. I'm afraid some of us will be confused, but calm down. I'll get it. I'll show us. And then N remains the same. And I remains 12. Okay. Now, so here, just hang on. So here now, we now say, if you look at this very well, we are going to look for the A of the cost. You know, the cost is $125,000. So if you fragment it, what's the annuity? What's the annual value of that cost? That's the point. What's the annual value of that cost? What's the annual value of that cost? I go to interest table. Find me. So 125 If you go to the interest table, what is under 12%? Go back to 12%. Under 8. And here we're looking for, we are giving P, we're looking for A. So under capital recovery. So what is the capital recovery factor here? Under 8 is giving me 0.2013. 2013, 0.2013. 2013. 0.2013 multiplied by 125,000 is giving me 25,162. Gentlemen, it means that if you buy this equipment at $125,000, it simply means you are paying $25,162 every year for the next 8 years. You get the point? But the question says it will be saving you $33,000 every year. It means the NPV, the net present value, is simply 33,000 minus 25,162. It's saving you 33,000, but the cost, that 25,000, every year, if you have to pay it in 8 years, or if you have to be bringing it out each year for 8 years, what you'll be bringing out is 25,162. So it means your net now is now 7,873. So when you hear is saving 33,000, it doesn't mean that's your profit, sir. Remember, there is a cost of capital fragmented into yearly payments. That's why in abroad, if you go to the phone shop to buy phone, it's only in Nigeria that you go and pay for things 100%. You want to buy car, you go to Costaris, and they ask you to bring 20 million, and then you transfer 20 million. In the Western world, even phone contracts, they will tell you how do you want to pay. That's why anybody that goes to UK tomorrow, you can go and pick up a loan and say, I've bought a house. And you start showing it on internet and telling people you have bought a house. You didn't buy a house, you took a mortgage. You are paying it every year, we know. Stop deceiving us here. So in this question now, this person is having a savings of 33,000 each year, but he's buying the thing at 25,162 every year. You know, a layman will say, 25,162 times 8. It will give you 201,296. But you'll be wondering, but the payment, the person is supposed to buy it at 125. That is only the present value. If you take it to the future value, in other words, this 125 at 125,000 at 12%, in 8 years' time, it will be worth 201. Someone will say how? Because if you multiply this 25,162 times 8, it will be giving you 201,000 because you're not paying it at once, and because there's time value of money. That's why if a phone will cost 1 million naira in Germany, for instance, if you go, they can tell you to, if you say you want to pay over in a period of 1 year, they can tell you to pay 100 euro every month. 100 euro every month. You know your salary is already 1,000 euro. Let's say you are doing factory work. Okay, and your house rent is maybe 500 euro. Internet and electricity, 100 euro. So you can say, okay, I can pay 100 euro every month. No problem. No problem. But the Nigerian man will come. You say, 100 euro times 12. That is 1.2. It's better, let me just pay 1 million and buy it. Yes, it's still normal. Yes, you can pay 1 million now, or you pay over 12 months, you pay 1.2 million. Gentlemen, that's simply what we have done here. So the cost of the equipment is 125, but there's an interest rate of 12% every year. And that thing is going to last for 8 years. So it means if I don't have money to pay 125 now, I can be paying 25,162 over a period of 8 years. But if you calculate it in terms of what it will be in 8 years, it's going to be 201, which is 25,162 times 8, because it's a series equal payment. That's what annuity means. I'm trying to expatiate on this so that you know how relevant and how important this thing is, that you're not just going to apply it in this, you're going to apply it in real life case study. Because this is what I tell people. I will not borrow you 1 million naira in January, and then in December you give me back 1 million naira. It's not true. It doesn't work. It is cheating. You're cheating me. Because what 1 million naira will buy in January 2025, by December 2025, the least money that will buy that thing is 1.2 million at 20%. And you and I know that Nigeria is moving at more than that sometimes. Probably this year, our inflation will stabilize, because dollar has been relatively stable between 1,500, 1,600, at least. Let's say 1.6, sorry, 158, 80, 1.6220, or just like that. So there's a little bit about stabilization in the forex market. And we, being an important nation, import everything, we are dependent, we are influenced by the appreciation, depreciation, or movement of dollar or the international currency, until we do otherwise, start manufacturing or start production anyway. So we have done the first one. The MPV of the first one is giving us what? 7,873. Now we go and do project 2. We go and do project 2. So project 2. So under project 2, the P is 156, right? And we need to find the annuity of this. We need to find the annuity of 156,000. Because we have already been told N remains 8. Interest rate remains 12. Okay, so this is what we have. For the cost, we are assuming that the cost they gave us, the 46 they gave us, is for the savings. Okay, the savings we are giving the annuity of the savings. So, but let's do for the cost. We'll now compare with one of the savings. So here we say A, same thing we did, is equal to multiply P by table factor. I'm looking for A. I have P at interest of 12% at 8 years. I go to my table, same 8 years. All right, we know the value already. So that will be equal to 156,000 multiplied by the same value, 0.2017, right? I'm sure it's that. Okay, 13. And what is it giving us now? $156 times 0.2013 is giving us 31,402. 31,402. Well, how much is it saving? Therefore, MPV is equal to PV. I have to write savings, or make it small. Minus PV cost. Minus PV cost. That is universal formula for MPV. So we are giving PV savings as 46,000, right? And we have calculated the cost. The cost to be what? Minus PV cost. And here, PV cost is 31,402. Therefore, MPV, which is the net present value, becomes 46 minus 31,402. And what is it giving me? It's giving me 14,597. So now 7,873 versus 14,597. Which one do you move? So which project are we choosing now? Is it the one that has a higher MPV or the one that has a lower MPV? It's the one that has a higher MPV. So because the MPV is positive, remember it is positive. If it is minus, all of us are engineers. A higher negative number is the worst. But in this case, they are all positive. The two projects, number one, what this assignment shows us is that the two projects are good. Are we together? But one is better than the other one. The two projects are all good. They are all positive. They are all profitable. But in terms of the two being profitable, which one has a better profit margin? And that is project 2. I wonder how many of us that would have gone for project 1 because the initial cost was higher. But from our calculation, project 2 is a better investment. Any question? Any question so far? Any question so far?
Hello, Engineer.
I'm with you, sir.
Okay, I guess this is one method of looking at
Yes.
yeah. I mean, we can also use the future value, isn't it?
God bless you, sir. Let's try that. Then we close. In fact, we can also use the future value. And if you use the future value and it gives you the same thing, then you know you are good to go. So let's use the future value. So what we're saying now, in essence, gentlemen, for those who don't understand what you just said now. Now, listen to me. This project will cost 125,000 naira today, 2025. But in 8 years' time, 8 years will be what? 2033. It will be giving me 33,000 naira for the next 8 years. So we can take it, we can now say by 2033, what will be the value of each? The one that has a higher value is a better for us. Because it's going to be, what I'm saying in essence is, we can discount and say, what is the worth of 33,000 in 8 years? And what is the worth of, what would this 125? I didn't, this 125, I didn't invest it and I keep it in the bank at 12% for 8 years. What will it give me? And then this 33,000 that is coming my way, after 8 years, what will it give me? I don't even understand. You know what the engineer just said now is, let's take it to the future. What we did, we brought it to the present. We brought it to the present. Now let's take it to the future. Okay, there's even three ways to solve it. I can also bring this 33,000 to the present and bring, are you with me? And bring 46,000 to the present. Let's do that one before we do your own, sir. Let's do this one before we do your own. So let me clean up this here. So for project one, watch me, gentlemen. For project one, A was given as 33,000. I want to find out what is the P today. What is the P of 33,000 today? So I'm looking for the P. And I was given N. N remains 8. And I remains 12. So P is equal to A, go to table, find P over A, under P over A at 12% at 8 years. Can somebody help me with that? Everybody go to interest table. So you know what we're talking about. Go to interest table. Get me the table factor. I'm closing the class in the next 10 minutes. But let us let me be assured that many of us understand how to read the interest table. See, that has been an omission on my own part. Are we together? Please unmute yourself. You are backwards in the class. I have given this advice before we started. That when you are participating in a program like this, always do what you ask you to do. Because I've had instances where people say, "Oh, I will do it later. Oh, no, I'll do it," and I'm following. No, it doesn't. I didn't believe it's a physical class. It doesn't apply with me. You must do hands-on. You must try your hand on it because later is a sign of procrastination. It's a sign of procrastinator. Later, you don't own later. So I want everybody to go to your interest table. Go and find me this thing is like sinking fund. It's more like sinking fund or cap. Let me check which one it is.
That's true.
Is present what? What is the present value? Present what method? Or isn't the present what method? So what value did you get? 12% at 8. 4.968. 4.968. It means if I am to bring this thing in today's money, so this is what this means is that if I decide not if you sum the savings to today's money, it will give me 163,944, which is also a good business because what I paid for was 1,250. It means this business is already giving me profit of 163,944 minus 125, which is still the MPV. And how much is that?
38944.
38944. It means that this thing has a profitability of present day value of $38,000 or whatever, naira, whatever. Eh? Now let's go to project 2. We're going to do the same thing we did here. In other words, project 2 is bringing project 2 is saving 46,000, right? Are we together? The P is what I don't know. N is what? Remain 8. I remains what? 12%. So we now say, what is the P now of today? What is the P of 46,000? In other words, what is the present value of 46,000? So to get that, I will say A, the same thing we just, exactly the same thing we did. P over A, comma, 12%, comma, 8. And of course, all of us know it's the same value, it's the same factor, right? So it will be P and B. In this case, 46,000 multiplied by that factor is what again? 4968. 4.968.
That's 22852. 22852.
228.
528.
528. Or whatever. So it means this business will generate 228,525 in today's money. But we bought it. Remember, MPV formula is PV savings minus, or how we do it those days. We say PV1, P1, V1, but I don't know how to do subscript now. But I hope you understand. Minus P2, V2. But all of us understand. Where P1 is savings minus cost. So that becomes MPV. The savings is giving us 228,520. And the PV cost is giving us what?
153,000. 153.
And what is the net?
75, 5. I go 528, 75, 528, or 520.
Okay, gentlemen, which project is better again? In other words, project 2 is still giving us a present value gain, profit of 75,000. While project 1 is giving us 38,000. So whichever formula you use, like the last formula would have used, but because of time, if you had used that formula, it will still give you that the futuristic value will still be higher. And what we're talking about is, if this 46,000, instead of bringing it to the today's money, let's take it to 2033, it will still give you a better profit. So invariably, project 2 has a better return. Now, there are other questions in this exercise. Time will not permit us because we have a lot to offer you. So instead of, this is already week 5. It's supposed to be week 4, but it has entered week 5 or even week 6. So we are losing time. So unfortunately, I might not be able to come back to this. But please, how do I make us to go through them? There are some exercises here. Next week, please let us answer these exercises. The answers are there too. Please, if I end this training today, and you happen not to have another thing you are about doing, I will encourage you to take 1 hour